Future note. I think a bouquet of mic stands would be a fun thing to have, but that's but we are live and we are fresh off the tracks. Snacks, how are you feeling? How that was an incredibly hot set. That was a lot of fun.
You look great, great as well. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Black
Oh.
box.
So what so how did you build that set? Like what was some of like some of the factors you wanted to bring into that to bring the sound in?
So, like, I wanted to do something that like speaks to what I'm doing now. A lot of and just experimental sounding. I put through some Lorne in there. I haven't played Lorne. I had Mob. I just love Glitch Mob. But like all in all, I just wanted to express like what my brand really represents, like more of a dark sort of tone as well as something experimental and sort of something you don't really get to hear too often.
Definitely like I'd say it's definitely like off the main roads type sounds. The static and the wayward digital space. Hell yeah. Who were some of the so Glitch Mob you mentioned was one of the names that brought you into this. Who were some other like inspirations into into the sound?
Right now, I mean, I'm a creature of inspiration constantly. There's always someone else that's gonna inspire me. But like right now, it's definitely Shades, which is the duo project between Alex Perez and EPROM. EPROM themselves, Alex Perez, G Saruda, G Jones, of course. G Jones has a fantastic sound that is one of a kind. And then artists like Lorne, Levitate, and the Glitch Mob they've always been one of my favorite electronic music groups since like 2012.
Nice. That's a big list. What are some of the like the key tracks that would like stand out to you the most and like why? What is like what specific sounds from of like each of them really comes to home from you on that?
Um, I mean, I think Shades, Immortals off the from a Vein EP, like I think that speaks to me. At least it speaks to like the dark side of my brand and myself, especially. Like, there's just something about that atmosphere that they built with that song, and that this the snare and the clap, unlike anything I've heard. G Jones specifically. I mean, and there's so many like G Jones and EPROM collab tracks that really just stand out to me. But I think one of them I didn't play, but like just stand out to me in general is probably like, mm, I think it was off the acid disc, which is A2C2I2C, I believe. It's just the chemical nomenclature for fucking acid.
Is that kind of like similar to how Drumco does like the C108 or something like that?
Maybe. I'm not too sure, but I think that's like the sign. Like whenever you see like highly corrosive or something like that, 222. I think
I hear it. I hear it and I see it with the little bit of that crunchy like danger vibe.
hmm Yeah, and then like from Lorne, didn't play Cut the Anchor, but that's like probably my favorite song from Lorne. But I played Yesterday's Pain, which is another favorite of mine. Just their ambience and the way that they do their distortion uh is just so unique and different. And I fell in love with Lorne like the first time I heard them.
Hmm, nice. uh, so you said you like to bring a lot of the dark sounds though. So like
Hmm.
how do you get into that headspace of like when in both like you've been doing production as well as doing a bunch of DJ sets as well, right?
Yeah.
So like take us through that process and that rabbit hole. Just like do you just like shut everything down and just like hop right to it, or do you, or when you're like picking and choosing like how like hmm, with like cherry picking each track?
Hmm.
Hmm.
So it really depends like what I'm going for. And I mean if I'm going like super dark, I'm just kind of like trying to ride off the vibe of the first track and trying to build the atmosphere and the tone of the set gradually. Like sometimes there is like a sort of story that I already have in my head, or it kind of builds itself as I pick tracks and kind of just see like what works. Um, so I mean, the mindset I like to get myself into is just trying to just experiment, try to see what works, push the boundary. I think that's always been my mindset when I'm approaching a set is like push the boundary and see what we can get.
I feel like that's a lot of music with just experimenting, seeing what works, what doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's part of the process, honestly. Like when you're sound designing, you're just kind of throwing random sounds into a granulizer or something, and you're just post processing the fuck out of it until you get a cool sound that you like.
You know, like they said in Spaceballs, you get the beeps, the sweeps, and the creeps, right?
Exactly, exactly. That right there is perfect.
Hmm. Uh, but speaking of stories and finding what sticks, how did snacks come to stick with you?
So the name Snacks, that's kind of a shortened version of a gamer tag I used to use, which was like my high school nickname I got, and I used it for the longest time. But it came specifically from Smash Brothers because I think at the time you could only have a 4-character nickname for yourself. So I was like, how do I shorten Snack and Waffle to 4 characters? And then I came up with Snacks, and it's just kind of stuck. And the thought of a name change occurred to me. I think it came to me a couple times. I wanted to rebrand. I think maybe 6, 8 months ago, or maybe even a year ago. I wanted to try and rebrand, but it's kind of hard to give up an alias and move to another sort of name. And I'm so torn on names all the time. Like it's got to speak to me. So I've just kind of stuck with Snacks, and when I got my logo commission for my name, it's just like, all right, I'm just sticking with it until I don't know, probably till the end.
Hell yeah. Yeah, sometimes like, names are a very powerful thing. And
Hmm.
so like sometimes with some artists it's like coming up with like song titles is like the hardest part, or like for writers, just like write everything down and then figure out the chapter later. Sometimes other people are like they'll have the name as like an outline and then go from there. So with your recent album, let me double check that. I'm sorry. South Park or
Yeah,
Murder.
it's like
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. What brought that out?
So I live next. I live not directly next to, but I live like a couple blocks down from a street called South Parker Road, and it's a pretty active road where I live here in Denver. So I mean, there's always a lot of sort of criminal activity going on everywhere in Denver. It's a big city. What do you expect? But when I was coming up with a name for it, I think I drew up like maybe 4 or 5 different names of what I wanted to do, and then South Parker Murder just kind of like stuck because I think I had a couple renditions of like South Parker song. I think it was like South Parker Murda or like South Parker. What was the other one I came up with? It was like um I don't know, something like South Park or something. I can't remember. Something to like really pertain to the Phonk genre. Um, so I wanted to go for something edgy, not necessarily gangster, but more kind of taking a nod to the old North Memphis style. So I felt like putting a dollar sign as the S, kind of like made that nod, and then I wanted to do a little bit more to it, but I feel like that's just like I found it perfect. And it's funny you bring that up because I think not even a week, not even a few days after I dropped that EP, I there was like like in the span of 2 weeks there was like 3 shootings on that street. And I was like, I didn't plan for this. This was not planned. I guess I predict the future. I don't know. Mere coincidence. I don't know.
You know how it is in life. Whatever happens, happens. You just roll with it.
Art imitates life, or life imitates art. I don't know.
It's just a vicious cycle. That's what it is.
Truly, truly.
Hmm. So from that album, what was the one you had the most fun with? And then what was the one that gave you the most trouble in making?
So the track I had the most fun working on, I think, was probably Hezi, which started as a shit post because I was like, what if I turn funk into drum and bass? Because I can't remember what Acid Ma's alias before he name changed. I can't remember off the top of my head, but Acid Ma dropped a funk track. It was called Neuro Funk, and it was basically neuro funk. So I kind of used that as a sort of inspiration, and then I kind of put my own spin on it. And so I like I said, it kind of started as a shit post, and I sent it to a couple people. And I kind of made the joke of like, yo, should I send this into ShelterNet and enforce 90 listen to it? And everyone said, yeah, definitely do it. And I was like, fuck it. It's not gonna get on a label, but I get to force 90, who's a friend of mine, um, to listen to it. I don't care if it gets signed or not. I don't care what he says. I just get to force him to listen to it. I think it was like 3 months later after I sent that in, I get a DM at work. It's like, yo, that track you sent in, that shit's hard. We want to run that. And I was like, what? I don't understand. I was like, okay. I mean, and then afterwards, after polishing it and all of that, it was I fell in love with the track, and everyone really loved it. I was actually kind of surprised how many people loved the track, and then I threw a Easter egg in there. I think at like the first break, uh, it's like a really distorted like the timeout sound for VR chat. Yeah, I threw that in there.
That is so much infamous like memories of just like trying to
Yep.
join an instance and then you just time out. It's just
Or
the worst.
I know.
And
It was just like it was like a good break sound. Like I normally use like Naruto samples as sort of like my crashes and my yeah, pretty much as my crashes or impacts. There's the other term, impacts and crashes. I use a lot of Naruto samples. Um, but I just decided on that just because the track at the time was already a shit post, so like why not double down on it? The boo sample was actually like a placeholder for my tag, because like my Phonk alias was gonna be called Spectre, and I was like, I don't know anything else, so I was just like, I'm just gonna put boo sample here 'cause it's funny. I don't know. And I just like undecided. I didn't decide to go through with the alias just because it was like my brand in general is more of like a feeling rather than just trying to be pigeonholed or put in a box. I'm gonna release whatever I want to release. That's kind of like the main inspiration behind my logo too. It's like can't even read it. If you can read it, shout out to you. I can barely read it, and I know what it says. It says my fucking name. But it's more of a feeling that you get from the logo rather than reading it. That was like the main inspiration. But to answer the latter part of the question, the track that gave me the most trouble, man, trying to think like which track gave me the most trouble, because equally they were all challenging in their own right as I was still kind of developing my sound with funk and trying to decide how I wanted to structure out the EP in general. Um, Honestly, I think the intro report was probably the trickiest one because I had to like spend 2 hours or something like that just gathering news clips referring to South Parker or a report on like something that happened on South Parker. So it took so much time, and then arranging it perfectly the way I wanted it to, and then for it to lead into the next track. That was tricky because I've never done that before. It's my first ever EP, so I'm like I didn't know how to do it and make it work.
Nobody's ever Mozart on the first try, you know?
Exactly. It's a process, and it's just about throwing your music out there. Not sitting on the music. Get it out there. And I have a couple tracks that I need to release here soon that kind of were supposed to make it onto the EP, but never did just because I didn't like the beat. But coming back to them after that EP, I was like, oh, I know what I can do with this. It's a learning process. I didn't know what to do with them at the time, and then now after making that EP and releasing it, I was like, oh, now I know what to do with this. And I take what Ghost Data said to me a long time ago at Spooky's birthday party, about 2 years ago, I think, when this was. Almost 2 years ago. I think it was in September. I may be wrong. Don't hate Spooky. Don't hate me. Um, he said, yeah, just release your music. Don't make it sit in a folder, forever. Just get it out. Get it out. 'Cause it's no use to you just sitting in the folder unfinished. Just get it to where you're happy with it and just release it. Yeah, you may hate it a week later, a month later, or however time later, but it's all part of the creative process. Again, experimenting, developing your sound, and learning. It's all about learning, really.
Yeah, I hear that. A lot of the big artists always say like, "Oh man, I made this song, I put my whole heart and soul to it," and then it's just like it kind of just flops. And it's like I just joked around, made this one, and bam, it just blows up. Absolute banger.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It's
kind
that
of
that's
thing.
that's the duality. Honestly, sometimes it just happens like that. The songs that you hate the most are the ones that are most popular. I don't know why. It's a conundrum that I cannot solve.
But yeah. So on the extended tracks that you had, basically, would you do like a whole like separate sub EP or like the deluxe edition kind of thing? You know, how like because like anytime I go digging through Spotify, you know how like artists have like one
Mhm.
album and then the other version of this album that has the remixes, and then the other version of this album has all the VIPs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Glitch Mob is guilty of that for sure. They have like three different renditions of Drink the Sea. They have Drink the Sea, which is the original release back in 2011. They have the 10-year anniversary. They have the ambient version. They have all the remixes, which is like a two. It's like a two fucking album of just remixes. EPROM has a remix of Animus Fox, which is so good. I haven't got to play that yet. It's hard to mix out of. There's a track that's so hard to mix out of. It keeps going and going. It's like a 5 minute long song. Um, and then you got Revisions, which is like a collection of all of their like a bunch of their songs from different albums. A lot from Drink the Sea, some from Interbeing, and some from some of their other albums and singles and mashups with other artist songs like Laser Vision and I can't remember what the mashup was. Laser Vision. Oh, you better run, you better hide. But yes, I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna really. But I might just release them as singles, or I'll put them. I think the deluxe edition is a good idea. I don't know. I might have to come up with a funny name for it. I want to just call it deluxe. It's not right for that out. It's not right for that EP. But yeah, that's a decent idea. I have a couple beats that I really want to kind of release soon, and it's a idea. I mean, the EP is free on Bandcamp, and people have been paying money for it, which like blows my mind if you pay money for that EP. But I thank them nonetheless. It was huge. Um, each person that buys it or downloads it, big ups, much love, always.
Yeah, it's always something surprising to see when like your music generally like reaches out to people and they decide to go above and beyond. And it's
Hmm.
indescribable. Hmm.
Oh, for sure.
Hmm. So 2 years ago, did you expect to see yourself going from like just hanging out in VR and then all of a sudden now you're on the other side of it, being the music enjoyer to music maker? Or how was that? How
Um,
was that process for you?
so that that whole process kind of happened way like super fast. It happened in a matter of a week. I went from well, I mean, it kind of built up over a few months. I was kind of just I got back into VR chat because I saw a really old friend of mine online. So I was like, oh, I gotta re-download VR chat, install Oculus, and run through all the fucking pain and troubles of getting the OG Rift to work. Um, and then get VR with my buddy, and I joined on them, and I met some people at a random boy club, and they became my friends, and we started Wicked. I'm kind of speed running the whole process, but that's basically how it went. Just because Mello took the group to oh Jesus fucking Christ, what is happening? Hit please.
You know, just usual VR chat problems.
Yeah, just the VR chat things. It'd be like that. You can have 4 base stations, and that'll still happen to you. But so yeah, Mello kind of took the group to Loner. I didn't know what it was at the time. I wasn't really interested in it. And then I got forced to go to a Rizumu event, and it really stuck with me because it was a Trixon, Wogi, and Clyde machine that played that day, and I loved every second of it. It was amazing. Um, so I always love talking about that because it's just like Wogi's like one of my best friends, my mentor, damn near. Um, Clyde machine I've played for his offshore recently, and Trixon, very good friend. We met at MFF. That was a trip. We broke his FLX6. Not really, but it broke right after we got done using it, unfortunately. But yeah. So 2 years ago, if I mean I didn't really think I was ever gonna pursue music again after I kind of stopped doing it IRL for like way back when, like back in middle school. Like I was pursuing it as a DJ, and then I had to stop because I didn't have the financial circumstances to keep it going after my friend kind of just dropped it. So, and then it's like when you grow up in a small town, there's no music scene whatsoever. You're too young to go to the bars, you're too young to go to the local small club, and you're too young to hitch a ride to Denver, like simple as that. So it kind of died, and then I thought, I was thinking about getting back into like making beats in FL Studio. Probably a year and a half, almost 2 years before that, but I just never did it. Just I was too invested in trying to pursue esports again, which never happened, which I'm okay with. I Esports is fun and all, but it's so draining when your passion becomes your job. And that's why I'm glad music isn't gonna be a job for me. It's still a passion. But yeah, I didn't expect it to really happen. I didn't know it was a thing until, and then when I was, was shown it after the whole Resumo event, I was like, man, how do I get into this? So I just downloaded Virtual DJ and started spinning on desktop, just mashing up random tunes that I was listening to, which is like a Camellia, Pendulum, a lot of JEDM, because I was into fucking Osu, so funny artcore, hard dance, JEDM. That is like what I was into, and a little bit of dubstep. I was getting into that again, but yeah, I really owe it to Tachyon and Logie for showing me the Straz video because I was just so anxious about like getting started in the scene. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know who to talk to. I was like, I don't want. No one wants to hear me spin. I need at least like another year of practice before I could even be considered. And they're like, and then I watched that video and it gave me the confidence to, pursue at Open Decks at the Underground, and that's how my journey started. And now I'm here.
It's something surreal to go from
Yep.
like dead project to holy shit, we're here.
Yep. Yeah, I know. It's
Mm.
I I still look back and I'm like, man, I don't know. I didn't think I'd fucking release an EP. I wanted to. After I think a year and a half of DJing here, I was like, I want to make some music. I want to really get an EP out there. I just don't know what. And I started on Phonk, and I wanted to produce and get it out there. And I procrastinated due to life situations and all that. And now it's finally out, and I'm happy now I can actually pursue other music that I want to start making.
Definitely. Like once you get past the rough waters and all of a sudden you're just on smooth sailing, you're just coasting, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hmm. But how do you balance it all out between between just VR social life versus running a club versus handling your life outside of it versus,
Mhm.
gaming and then just the whole amalgamation of everything we do in the digital space?
It's tricky, especially with someone as you know. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I do a lot of things besides, of course, DJ and run a club, and run around VR chat clubs and play the funny sounds all over the mic. Like, I do some graphic design, poster work for other people, like Resumu, Wednesday Night Magenta, and anyone else who really asks for it. I do my own posters for Wicked as well, and whenever Mavis Speaking can't do it, and then like on top of gaming and my job, it's like it's a constant battle of picking and choosing what you're gonna do each weekend or each day. Because it's like when you play every weekend, you got to spend the week building the crate and then prepare, and then the day of for me personally, I only like to play one event a night unless I space that I have another event that I booked myself for because those are things. Sometimes I'm forgetful. Sometimes people don't hit me up after I say yes, and I forget about it because I'm working on other things. So I just naturally forget, and I don't. I'm getting better at writing it down. Um, yeah, it's a daily battle of picking. Okay, what do I want to do today, or what am I in the mood for? Really, like some days I'm just drained and I don't want to do anything creative. I just want to mindlessly doom scroll YouTube or just play Overwatch or something. You know, it's all good. For me. It's just I just do. Sometimes I do have a plan of okay, this week we got to get this done, this ready for this, an event. It's just kind of balancing it right. I'm not the best at it, but the more you do it, the more you get used to it. I've talked to a lot of some of the newer people, even people would consider that have been here for a long time when they first came in. It's they're playing every day or like 3 or 4 times a week. I remember I was in that. I was definitely in that boat of playing 3 to 4 times a week, just because I had nothing else better. I was just so obsessed with music, and I wanted to spin every day and really, perfect my craft. But it gets draining. It gets really draining really fast. And what I like to tell people is, don't be afraid to say no. If you feel burnt out or you feel like you're starting to get burnt out, just chill out a little bit. Take a week to yourself. Take 2 weeks to yourself. Whatever you need. Um, your own personal time is important, because if you don't take time for yourself, you can't be creative, can't really express yourself, which is what we're doing. We're all doing. We're expressing ourselves in our own ways.
Yeah, I remember sometimes when when there was just like nights I was just like I think Ghost Week like trying to like jump in like catch every single one and like when the homie starts spinning and then you see like those first starts and it's like you want to go support and just like everyone's got a club, everyone's playing, everyone's spinning, and sometimes you get the infamous like quadruple bookings in one night.
Yeah, I think the most bookings I ever had in one night was, it's only ever been two. I've never triple booked or quadruple booked myself, just because I there's definitely one event I will remember that I have to play, and someone will ask me, "Can you play this date?" And I'll look and I'll be like, "Okay, I can't play that day." And then I'll find out last minute I'm already booked for that day. So I'm like, "Oh, what do I do?"
Thankfully, a lot of where we are in VR, it's like something could catch on fire, someone could drop last minute, and then like we could still just like patch it all together and still keep rolling. And that's something
Yeah,
beautiful about the community of the virtual space.
yeah. It's especially for like being a club owner, you gotta adapt pretty fast. Like, someone's PC just may die 5 minutes before they're about to play. You gotta figure out how you're gonna fill that slot. Yeah, or they crash during their set, or something. You never know. We're always, as DJs and artists, we're constantly fighting technical issues, frames, and trying to DJ with the headset on. If we do DJ with the headset on, we're already fighting a battle already as is. So trying to do trying to troubleshoot your OBS while trying to still spin and transition while trying to get back in the world you just crashed out of. You get really good at multitasking.
That, so that reminded me of the one meme where like when Bunch of Something was like playing at Shelter and like, he's
Yep,
just like
yep.
sprinting back.
Yeah, you know what's funny? When I was about to play Shelter, like the day of, I was thinking to myself, man, if I crash out, I'm gonna have to do the infamous bunch of run, and I crashed out twice, so I had to do it twice. So I was like, so I got really good at speed running down those stairs. Let me tell you, I figured out the tech. I know how to fly down those stairs.
Oh yeah, that's always the fun part is just like when like you've gone to so many events now and it's just like the pathings to like every map that's out there, every venue, everything in existence. That's like
Yep.
yeah. Uh
Oh yeah.
but yeah, um with the virtual space though, I mean like genuinely these are all real skills, wouldn't you say? That are applicable, right?
Yeah, I'd say, like, there's a lot of things you can learn here. Like, there's a lot of people who find their passion, their dream. Here I'll use Juno and Silent as an example. They started out as VJs as for fun, then they moved on, took their passion more seriously, and then they eventually became resident VJs for Sanctum, and then they moved on to actually real life VJing for Muzz's show, and then they're now resident VJs at some club that they live by, which is super cool. You wouldn't think that's possible, or someone just finds their passion for 3D modeling or graphic design, um, and they pursue doing art. You're just getting paid to do art, and you don't really know it until you try it. Yeah, that's what I like about this scene. That's what I love about this spot. It's like you find out things that you can do that you can, either make a living off of or just enjoy doing. It's the limits are endless of what can happen.
Yeah, it's VR is definitely the next step forward in a lot of like so many things because
Hmm.
when you really look at it, we're all beyond just game designers, really, like from asset builders, world builders, texture artists. There's so many different fields in it. And
Oh
so
yeah,
like for
sure.
people for people for like the outside looking in who have never touched VR or like who are always like, I've always wanted to get in VR chat, but I don't have a headset or like things like that. Like those are the most common things we hear anytime we bring up that hey, we play VR chat. It's like
Yep.
how do you respond to that?
I guess I have decent experience talking to real life artists when we're trying to bring them in, to our space and get them acquainted and let them know what we do. And the best explanation I can give, and it's you don't need a VR headset to enjoy a VR chat rave. Sure, it makes it better, but you don't need it, nor do you need it to perform either. Um, you just need a good enough computer to handle the world, the people loading in, and being able to stream your music if you're DJing at least. I've had artists unable to be in the world, but still make a set, perform the set, and and they said they enjoyed it, they loved it, they thought it was cool, and they wanted to come back sometime. And that always stuck with me. And sure, the price tag of building a PC to handle VR chat is kind of up there, especially with supply chain, chip shortage, all that. Um, it's a little dodgy, but save up your money, use that tax return, wait for Cyber Monday. You can build a PC that'll run VR chat.
Yeah, I've talked with a couple friends of like trying to get like I guess more in industry names in here and like having to deal with like booking agents and stuff because we've had like quite a few like big names play here in the digital space. Like
Mhm.
Porter hangs out here like that's kind of a given. Porter just
Yeah,
hangs out here.
yeah, exactly.
But like
They're somewhere.
yeah. Secretly, I believe it's Naku. Yeah,
Hey,
that's
hey, wait.
Naku. But yeah, but like I remember um a while back like Shelter got like virtual riot in here and like he was just hanging out and like one thing that's really fun about like the virtual space is like you don't have that celebrity boundary anymore. And like this is also common in the rave scene.
Hmm.
So like if you could bring any like meet like any big artists like or at least like help introduce um like whose sound would you like to see in here and then what kind of avies do you think they would have? I think that's where I'm like bringing that.
That's a good question because I have a lot of artists I would love to see come here and see what we do. Um, Man, that is an excellent question because like the first names that come to my head is like Prom and the Glitch Mob. Um, just because they would be unique performances, unlike we've heard, especially even G Jones too. Like G Jones would be spectacular. Um, But if I had to like really pick one, it'd probably be the glitch mob because I already know EPROM knows we exist to a certain extent just because he played for Boss Wave, which was ran by Seventh Dimension. And I know Space Laces already knows we exist. And we won't get into the whole details behind that because that is a rabbit hole rather. But anyways, glitch mob. Yeah, having them come perform in VR that would be spectacular, be amazing because the way they do their sets now, the modular nerds would just love it. Modular Monday would love it. People who love going to Modular Monday, they would love it because they do modular sets now. Or they might break out the pads and stuff how they used to do their old performances. Who knows? But if I had to consider, what avatar, I think knowing the glitch mob, I think they would go for something more human. Probably still definitely anime style because I think they do kind of fuck with the anime style. They might go for like maybe popular characters, like popular anime characters they like. Maybe. I feel like definitely a few of them are draw inspiration from something like that. I mean, they have a song for League of Legends.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And that's actually the a fun thing is like when you really start like getting into the avatar work, you really find the ones that help identify with you. And like I that's the next really cool thing of VR is just like not just the immersion, but just like how you can choose to express yourself, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So like tell us about your avatar. Like how did you come up with like the ouch. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Wait.
So I've been through many renditions of models, sort of avatars that express myself at a current point of my career. I've been through one, two, three, four. I think this is my fifth, and I do have an avatar for each occasion now. Actually, I'm on my sixth because I forgot about the Guilty or Grief Seed project between Noir and I made an avatar for that one for that project just because, yeah. Um, as time went up, as time as I progressed in music and I sort of was searching for my sound after I kind of went through my phase of mid tempo and dark clubbing, I was really searching for something that really spoke to me in terms of like how I look in the real life, but also how I want to represent my brand and the direction that my music is going. Because at the time, I discovered Alt Garage and I knew I wanted Alt Garage, which is the name of this bass model. Um, I was heading into the path of more experimental music and different left field bass. So and I really saw Alt Garage and I knew that's the bass that speaks to me because it matches my body type and it's kind of got that sort of depressed, not really depressed, but more sort of brooding,
Grim.
almost edgy look to it. Yeah, grim, sort of brooding, edgy look to it. And then I added the chroma jacket, or I had a friend add a chroma jacket to it, and added the hat. I left the shirt, put the design on it, and just it kind of just all it all kind of progressed like the avatar's an evolution of myself with my sound. And I'm gonna have someone work on kit bashing an outfit for this model just because now I've evolved past this now and I want to really to sort of different look.
Hell yeah. Yeah, no, and like that's the really cool part about this is just like there's so many like different shops really when it comes to a lot of the VR stuff because like you got both Booth and Gumroad and then like vice versa and then like the kid bashing is always a lot of fun. But like for people who want to start getting into that, like, where would they start? How?
You know, it's dependent upon your skill set, really. Like, you can go on Booth and go buy, one of the models you see on the front page. And it's more about like curiosity, you know. And if you want to learn, a program that can edit the textures and then do the hassle of learning Unity. Once you learn Unity, that's kind of like the that's your milestone right there. Once you learn Unity to the point that you need it to, then you can start really like getting into it. But I mean, how I started was just watching YouTube tutorials, you know, or having someone give me advice. There's always someone. And that's what's nice about this scene too is there's always someone who knows about what you're trying to do, and they're usually like 90% of the time more than willing to help you with that for free. They most of the time they won't even charge if it's teaching you the basics. Most of the time they're more than willing to get you started because it's their passion. They want more people to enjoy their passion, or please understand avatar creation or world creation or whatever. So I can have someone to nerd out with. And I think that's like, I think that's what drives a lot of it. It's like we want more people to nerd out with us about our own passions.
Yeah. Yeah, like whenever I'm trying to like describe like a lot of what we do in here, or just like the rave scene to like outside people, so it's like yeah, we're all just a bunch of nerds, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, and like honestly, every form of being a nerd in here is an art form because yeah, everyone's passionate and like seeing the CDN team here or like even Tupper just like hang out with us, it's like what?
Oh yeah, it's obscene. Like it's crazy. I never thought like a VR chat dev would frequent shelter and be a part of our scene. But many surprises, lurk. Just like how I never expected to meet one of my favorite artists, Ghost Data. Just did VR chat, and I was like, and now I'm good friends with them. It never ever after like listening to Ghost Data, never would I thought I'd be like, oh, I get to meet them and be friends with them. I would never thought that. But VR chat's a fickle is the funny thing, and stuff like that is possible.
Hell yeah, nah, and like that's the best part is just like it comes back to that whole like breaking that wall of like mystification for like names, you know, because like again, names have power, you
Mhm.
know. So like, so one issue I do want to have to bring up is like a lot of like clout chasing quotation mark, you know, because like
Yep.
for some people it's like they want to like just like kind of rise the ranks and like yeah I bump elbows with this person, but it's also like or just like generally like it's intimidating to come up and talk to people who just like are killing it right there on the decks and just be like, yo, I love your step, it's like, oh, I want to get into this, you know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
I
like
understand that.
how so like how do you feel about that? Like just like handling that miasma of parasocial insanity.
hmm Um, it's it's a tricky thing. When you really get down to it, a lot of us are, really antisocial, and we use music or dance or whatever as a form to express ourselves in words that we cannot, or in ways that we cannot put into words is the way I like to describe it for myself. Um, but I have had situations of where people just are too afraid to talk to me just because they've heard things about me, or like they just know I've been here for a long time and I'm quote unquote popular, or whatever flavor of term you want to put on top of that. And I'm like, really? Like I feel like I am the most approachable person, you know, in here, and I get it. I'm dripped out, but real like I'm a very nice person. And now if you approach me weird, it is gonna weird me out a little bit because I am also, a little antisocial. But it's don't feel afraid to, if you see a DJ and they get off the decks and they're talking to people, don't be afraid to approach them and say, hey, that set was amazing, I loved it. Or if they have, or if they played one of your favorite songs, be like, oh my god, I did, like, because that really touches us. That's how I made some of my friends. Is like they're like, oh, you played that song or this artist. I did, I'm into this artist too, and that's how it starts. And you get talking to each other and you start nerding out. And again, it's like we nerd out because we nerd out about certain things. Um, but in terms of like the term clout chasing, I have boiled it down to we're all sort of seeking this sort of relevancy, and I also summed it up greatly. We're also, a lot of us have, we're trying to seek this illusion of grandeur. Like we were gonna, I don't know, get popular or something. I mean, yes, technically some of us are popular, we're well known. You could say a name and they'd be like, oh, I know that person or whatever. But we're such a niche scene already inside of a niche game. So, the fact that and just because we've got artists like Virtual Riot and Space Laces and Muzz and Ghost Data and a few others, to come into our scene, it doesn't by any means doesn't mean that, this is gonna blow up. And I think what people really think about in the back of their minds is, the music industry putting money into this scene. And I've talked about this before. I said they're not gonna invest the money into us until we can fit about 150 to 200 people in the instance minimum. Now we know that's not gonna happen for at least, I don't know, maybe the next 3-5 years. Kind of really depends. I don't know what the VR chat dev team is up to. It just seems like them lifting that limit is kind of out of their reach right now. But it could change. It could change tomorrow. Who knows? But I think, just not getting caught up in trying to play, not just play music, but get associated with people just because, um, of what they're tied to, or whatever. That's not really important. And I know I've got myself caught up doing that. I remember I tried to quote unquote fit in by getting into like tribal house and melodic house. And don't get me wrong, I love tribal house, melodic house, funky house, art groove, whatever. I love techno, all that. There's not very many genres I don't like or wouldn't try spinning once. And just because like you got to spin something once just to at least learn from it. So, but when I tried to quote unquote fit in, it's just because I was trying to chase some sort of a grandeur. I realistically wanted to try get my way into Ghost Club just because I love what they have going on. Like it's just so unique. It fits everything that I love and want to pursue. And I accepted a little while ago that it's like, if I get accepted, I get accepted. If I don't, I don't. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because I want to express myself and I want to pursue music, and that's what I'm already doing. Why am I trying to go and play for some of the biggest clubs in VRChat? Just let it happen, just like how the hip decides it wants to go, just let it happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, a lot of people are always like saying like, yeah, like these places are the echelon, or like that's the end game, and just like, but
Yeah,
in the end, we just do what we do because we love it, and it comes back to being an artist
exactly.
of just like, of any caliber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nothing about trying to be the biggest name. here because realistically, if VR chat was to be done with tomorrow, what do you have? Oh, I played for Shelter. You're gonna tell some random person in the street, I played for Shelter. 9.5 times out of 10, they're not gonna know what the hell you're talking about. You know, so it's just just enjoy the moment. I think that's really what's important. Just enjoy what we have right now because some of us don't have all the time in the world to enjoy, this because this is special and we are creating a a gateway into people's passions, dreams, and probably future careers at this point. We've already seen it again with like Juno and Silent and Iron the Biscuit and a few other people. We've already seen that, and we got to keep. That's what's important is we are just again creating the gateway to this because people get to express themselves freely at little to no barrier. It's like, oh, you have a computer that can already run VR chat. Cool, you can already be a part of us, or you can already start spinning. You can start doing whatever as long as your PC can handle it. If it can't handle it, you're gonna save up enough money to make sure you can, start pursuing that because that's what you want to do. And if it wasn't for this scene, I wouldn't have my current, passion for music. It would have just been a forethought, a middle-aged thought when I just think back. Hey, remember that time like I used to DJ middle school? That was cool. Remember when I wanted to pursue music? That was cool. And now it's a reality. I am pursuing music. We are pursuing music. All of us are pursuing it. Those who are, or we're running a club, making a venue, running events, doing whatever. It's unique. There's nothing like it. You won't find it anywhere else. Honestly.
Absolutely. The future is bright, and after meeting so many people in here, it's just it's amazing because like in here, like, and this applies to the rave scene as a whole, you see people who are amazing creatives that are beyond just musicians. You in here we're also talking to people who are doctors or like um aspiring like, people who want to work in like so many different fields, and then just like having this as like the expressive connective outlet for like a positive social experience and very progressive, like way of
Hmm.
being. Mhm. And that's the big thing here of like VR and technology and art as a whole is just progress, you know? Where like I guess for some myself included of like musicians in here who like, want to travel the world or like play big stages, like where do you see yourself being in like taking your music?
Um, I mean, I'm gonna pursue it until I can't anymore, until I physically am unable to pursue music. Because Pharrell's has inspires me every day. He's a great person, awesome, outstanding person. And he inspires me because with his condition, he's still pursuing music after everything. When he said he was done, he is now getting back on the horse and pursuing it again until he can no longer physically able to do it. And I know I will not stop until I am physically unable to do my music. So I don't know where I'll be. You know, I mean I could play Lost Lands. I could play fucking Def Underground or Boiler Room or whatever. I could go play in Europe, Spain, wherever. It's for me it's about the experience, connecting with people, having them hear what I have to say through the music. That's what matters to me. It can be 20 people, it can be 100, it can be 1,000. It As long as that connection is there, that's really all that matters to me.
Yep. Whether it's 5 people or 500 people, you're playing your heart out up there every time. And even those days when you're like you're having like super conflicting feelings, music is there to help
Mhm.
express everything.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then one big thing in the rave scene that's always tossed around but never really fully expanded upon is plur. What does that mean to you?
Mhm. Um, that's a term I didn't really become familiar with until I was in this scene, just because I grew up in a small town, then I, you know, went into the army, so I didn't really get to club or party or go to raves that much. It wasn't really something that I did. So I wasn't really familiar with the term until I came here. So what plur means to me, it's just I think it's a broad term to express how accepting we are, people in the scene. And of course, there's always going to be people who aren't, I wouldn't say accepting, but just have controversial opinions or whichever way you want to say it. But all in all, 95% of us are just here to have a good time, enjoy the music, and just connect. That's what it's about, is just connecting either with the artist or with each other, the crowd, because you never know who's going to be your best friend. You could be just solo dolo walking into the club here in VR chat, and you can meet a lifelong best friend, or you can meet your future roommate, or your future roommates. Perfect example. I never thought I'd be living with Abaddon, but here I am.
Tell us a little bit about that experience with like finally like meeting one of your basically long time online friends, and then just like now like sharing a space together. Like what's that like? It's surreal in one aspect, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah, and
What's it like?
so I've known Abaddon for a little while before I moved in with them, and we found out we lived in the same state, so it was a possibility that we could meet up and do something. That was always something that was kind of thrown around. So with the day we were like, "Yo, let's go to a Neonic show in Denver. I'll pay. I just want to go." I was like, "Okay, I have nothing else better to do. Might as well. I've never been to a club before, so this would be a cool experience." And I went. It was amazing, and yeah, the topic came up. It was like, "Well, I have a spare room." And I was currently living with my parents at the time, so it was like, well, I'm in between jobs right now. Live in Denver for a while. Figure, I'm not really too, I like to kind of have a broad plan to keep myself afloat, but I don't really like just plan out every single day. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm gonna do. Maybe I should. I don't know, but with my personal beliefs and my way of life, I just kind of go with the flow. I don't really fight against it. I just let things happen, and I just kind of adapt. Yeah, I don't know. It's a cool experience to live with another artist, someone who can nerd out with me, and living with Abaddon has been a super positive experience for me. Without them, I wouldn't have my already diverse taste for music and my current brand as is right now, just because they've shown me new types of music that I have never really listened to or that I've been kind of on the fence about liking. And without them, I wouldn't have discovered EPROM, D Jones, all of those artists.
Oh yeah. No, and that's the beauty of just like going beyond the digital space that we call home. And
Mhm.
so recently we just had ShelterCon where a lot of
Yep.
people were experiencing meeting each other for the first time ever, or like just even getting to party in real space for the first time ever, you know? So like what for those who want to go into that, like into meeting friends from VR to IRL for the first time, like what would that be, like what advice would you give them on that?
You know, if you're good friends and you've known them for a long time, they don't act much different really outside, because they're already comfortable with you. The difference is they don't match their avatar, 90% of the time. But that's not really that's what's important. It's already like that connection you already have each other's personality or taste, interests, and all that. And I think ShelterCon that what we have right now, ShelterCon is probably the best place you can go and meet either people you don't really get to talk to, or people you wanted to talk to but never got the chance to, or people that already just your best friends and they're planning to go, so you go. And I think having that and shelter having that is already huge for us because like you said, it gives us a chance to meet each other and have experiences that we otherwise wouldn't get, or maybe we're too anxious to go out to the club, or we just don't live near a club. It doesn't make sense for us to go drive 4 hours to go see an artist, but it makes sense to go for that one time of the year where all the VR nerds are getting together to go listen to each other play. I think that's special. And if you're already like in the scene, you're already invested. I'll see why you wouldn't go to ShelterCon.
Absolutely. I'm hoping someday, we could see a like Wicked Con, Ghost Club Con, Diesel Con, Just
Right?
I'd love to see a lot more of these clubs. Yeah, just and then
Well, for what
just
I can say, there
even
are there are clubs talking about it. There's some that already have plans to do it. So it's in the near future. It's just a matter of getting the funds and connections and all that. It's a process, and I can't imagine the burden that 2TD has of even trying to organize such a big event such as ShelterCon.
yeah. No, power to Tony for that. Yeah, like I can only imagine. And then also trying to like keep yourself afloat and then managing the VR space and then the real space and then just so many hoops to jump through and just I'm glad that it was able to pull through. Because I'm like that's I think we there was a Ghost in the Mogra thing that happened recently, or like,
Mhm.
basically Ghost Club Mogra takeover. Like that's the JP side of things, and that's a whole separate can of worms.
Right.
hmm But yeah, like, oh man, just thinking about like all the different hoops to get through to like break out, from the VR scene is like, uh, it's intimidating to think about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
hmm But yeah, but for for people who again are coming into this from the outside looking in, like what can we do to like get them more involved, to, like get the word out there? Like what more can we do?
I mean, there's already people, trying to take steps towards, getting, this of what we have out there with people, sort of doing documentaries on the scene in general. And people will argue, oh, they're just covering the same clubs over and over. I don't care if it's the same clubs go over and over again, as long as there's different creators. If the same creator does another documentary on the same clubs again, then it's kind of like, well, there's more than just Ghost Club, Shelter, Loner, and Diesel Works, right? Concrete. There's more than that because there's like what I haven't counted, but I know there's definitely more than 100. And it's the slippery slope of trying to keep track of everything. And I mean, Duck. does a lot, to keep track of all of that and make sure everyone gets out, gets that, same exposure, just get all those events so that anyone who's like, oh, I've already got a shelter, or I'm tired, I want to go see something new, and they can go to the VR Chat Party Hub and discover something new, and that's already like a gateway. I've thought of that like, I think of when I was like 6 months into the scene, I was like, there should be a centralized point where all the, everyone can post where their events are happening instead of going to each club's channel and like, oh, this is where I could post my event that's happening, or that's just the, instead you can just post it on Twitter and Captain Duck will cover it already. It's already there. But to get outside people into the scene, it's tricky because again, not everyone really has the ability to have a computer that can run this, well, or at least enjoyably. And that's the tricky part, right? And I talked about this too. It's like we'll see more people that are on the quest side join us when they can afford a PC that can handle the VR. We'll see that. We'll see that around Christmas, uh, tax return season, which we're already, coming out of. So, we'll be seeing more new faces come in just because of what um Straz, uh, uh, and a bunch of other big VR content creators are doing, and then there's some other VR chat content creators that are kind of mentioning us, but eventually it's just a pipeline. They get into VR chat, but and then they'll eventually stumble across club. Now, like it's no longer underground. This scene is pretty well known inside of VR chat. Does everybody absolutely know about it? I wouldn't say that's true, but it's no longer just Rizubu, Shelter, Loner, Ghost Club anymore. It's hundreds of clubs right now. So we're in a good spot to come in and have unique experiences. So I think there just needs to be more content creators willing to give the scene exposure so that people come in and join in. And I've seen most recently a VTuber has made their own club. So and I got to play for that at the end. Um I hope that's successful because that's new faces that get to bring, we get to bring in and they get to experience it. And no matter what anyone says, I am happy with more people coming in. That's more people going out to different clubs that, may not get filled because let's count the record of parties in one night on a Friday was like what, I think 49, something like that. So and people will say, oh, we're struggling to get people, but it's like let's dial the clocks back a year and a half, right? There was only like maybe one or two places that were full on a Friday or Saturday. It was either Resumu, DDVR, Shelter, or Loner, not including Ghost Club. 'Cause Ghost Club's in the morning for us Americans. So it's, those were the only places that you would see fill up. Now the other places that were kind of starting, I was kind of in that era of starting Wicked that, we would only see like maybe 15, 20 people, 30 on a good day. And then it started getting bigger and bigger as more content creators started covering the scene, like Thrill Seeker, Fia, Muzz, making Sanctum and all that, and Shelter kind of bridging that gap to the IRL scene. It's um, as time goes on, we are experiencing growing pains right now. So, it's just the process, really. It's like I said, I'm just happy to see people, try it out and bring their communities into our communities so that we can intermingle and bring new, fresh faces so that they can discover maybe something about themselves. That's literally the whole point. They'll discover something that they've always wanted to do. Like, oh, I've always wanted to try it. And you may not pursue it forever, but you tried it, and I think that's all that matters.
Absolutely. It's beautiful to see that we have so many different places to go to. We have so many like outlets and just everyone's
Mhm.
here. Like you can't go to any venue now without just seeing at least like one or two yellow names, you know, and that's how you just like create a whole chain and just like you meet everybody, and it's
Yep.
beautiful that way. But
I think it's
going on to
refreshing
the
that I get to go to an
yeah,
event and not see half of the lobby or 3/4 of the lobby full of yellow names. That's refreshing to me, honestly.
absolutely, yeah, just going in as like a total unknown is like they don't know I'm on this line. I'm just kidding.
They
But
don't
like
know.
it's like yeah, they don't know, not yet. Uh, but yeah, the on the topic of the whole like VTuber slash content creator scene in the VR scene, that's a whole another ballpark field worth of like niche in this.
Yep.
And so one thing that's been an ongoing issue is like streamers in the rave scene and like streaming in the clubs, like how do you feel about that? Or like how should at least do you think you should like kind of be done and going about like helping like
Hmm.
promote or like, you know, helping spread the word or like, you know, things of that nature.
Right. And there's certain venues and certain clubs that, say you can't stream to your stream. You can't stream the world to your stream. And then in my own eyes, I think that's more of a creative choice rather than trying to gatekeep, right? I think that's what some people take it as, like, oh, you're just gatekeeping. Well, no, and also we're trying. Well, some people may be playing tunes that are unreleased. And they're using CDN, and there's a reason why they're not streaming to a public, streaming services because they don't want those tunes to get ripped or leaked or anything. It could be like someone, some big artist could play, and they're using a CDN, or we set them up with a CDN so that their music is technically protected. Now you could argue that someone could just be recording the world audio and they'll get it anyways. No, that it doesn't matter if it's streamed, someone could steal it. It doesn't matter. But how can the content creators help promote? It's really it's really a matter of like informing your community about our rules and guidelines, and each club has their own rules and has their own code, how they want to run things and how they like to keep it you know safe for people to enjoy. And it's not one club's alike. We do share common aspects altogether. So realistically, I think you just need to be aware of the general rules and how you should act. Don't bring a fucking crazy particle avatar into the world that's just disruptive and can crash somebody. Or don't do the dirty on the dance floor. That's a no unless that's what the party's for. You know who you are. You know what clubs do that at if you've been here long enough. But yeah, it, what's the word? There's sort of manners that you need to abide by here.
Etiquette and ethics.
Yeah, etiquette and ethics, especially there's the word there. There's an etiquette, and you
Mhm.
need to understand that there's things that you need to abide by. So if the event allows it, I guess you could stream to your own Twitch channel or whatever streaming service that you use, to maybe help promote the event that you're at, or to get your audience maybe interested. But it's just in general, just follow the rules. I don't think there's really much else that could go into that.
Yeah, definitely. Like from the outside in, it's like with the realm of VTubing, it's like sometimes one of them has to have the personality. Other times it's like you're actually just genuinely hanging out there and just like, yo, come check this out, kind of thing, you know. And like
Hmm.
I, as one like I try to help be part of the latter. Just like, yo, come party with me in here, come party with me here, come on, please, I want to fucking drive the dance floor, you know, like, just go fucking squirrely on there. But like, yeah, it's the etiquette and manners of just like, yeah, don't like. I think it's like common knowledge of like, don't come in a club in a very poor avatar, or else Charles is gonna come kick your ass.
Yeah, you'll see the Shadow Man, and you will not be very happy.
uh, but yeah, and like it's a lot of subtleties that like you can't like even without the prior knowledge. It's like we can't blame you for not knowing it at first hand, but like just please don't be a prick about it. Really, you know,
Yeah,
that's really the respect of it. You know.
yeah, and it's really up to the staff to inform those who don't know, and it's up to you to say I'm new here, I don't know everything. You know treat each other with respect, and I think I think all staff will generally understand if you are new. You're not gonna know everything. Um, and it's just about having the right attitude. It's all about.
Absolutely. And it's like I don't want to have to bring this up, but like, you know, sometimes you'll get the rowdy or I'm gonna say out loud drinking night uh participants? That's not the word I'm looking for. I don't know.
Like
But you know,
the
just
the
like
drinking club crowd.
yeah, and so that's a huge different dichotomy that exists as well. Because like so for us we are the music scene, and to one extent we have been known as the cult of music or something like that. But like also there is also the social club scene that does exist where it's like it's kind of half drinking and half music, and then there is just the drinking scene. So like
Yeah.
it's yeah, they're all different circles, and it's like it how do I put this? Where like there's gonna be a lot of overlap, but like I feel that there shouldn't be like a barrier between these three different types, but like what can we do to like kind to help mitigate like problematicness? Because since we're gonna be in here, you know, we're having fun, we're at home, and it's convenient and it's safer to go out clubbing in VR than like go out clubbing in real life sometimes, you know?
Hmm. So I think I can really chalk it up to one simple term is just being adult. I don't think it needs to be much more complicated than that. Just be the adult you claim to be. Because if you're gonna fight the staff about your very poor avatar with your I paid money for this or blah, 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 we don't care. It doesn't matter. The rules are set, and trust me, I was there when the poor debate was brought up. It was like, oh, we shouldn't have pours. It should be medium or better. That was a topic that got brought. People don't remember that. That was a thing that happened. I remember there was a big thing of people like saying, "Oh, we shouldn't allow pours," or people were actually like not letting people with poor rated avatars into the world. And then it finally got universal of just okay, no very poor. That's something that happened over time. Now I think we're gonna see with the new update that's gonna come out for VR chat that people and we don't have to really run security for avatars anymore. We can just focus on people who are you know being an issue rather than being an issue with their avatar. We can care less if they're in a very poor avatar, and the DJ can care less if they're a very poor avatar, because that's what we're really concerned about, and as well as also the other people who are at the event. We don't want them to crash out, especially in a full instance. We don't want them to crash out and have to sit in queue all day, and for an hour. But it's for me, it's more I am more prioritized the performer, just because as a performer, I hate crashing out because it's a process to try to get back in. It's yeah, it's just it's painful. But again, it loops back around to just being an adult. treat each other with respect, because I get it. We're not all the wisest when we're off the sauce, but and it's up to the staff too to realize, okay, this is going nowhere. I'm just gonna have to remove you from the it's not all of us have that experience, and it's all a learning process. Either you got it or you don't, or you eventually will get it. So yeah, it's simple. Be respectful, and just be an adult. That's what it all comes down to.
Absolutely. And again, it comes back to the whole player philosophy, like peace on the dance floor, love one another, united by the music, and just share respect.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with that, I think we're out of honestly, like I don't know where to go after that, But yeah, anything else you want to?
Who would I like to see on Black Box next? Man, I'm friends with way too many people. Like, I think there's a lot of people who are pushing something really unique, especially in my circle specifically. And if you want variety, if you want someone who's gonna push something far or gonna push something very unique, Noir is a very good pick. They're my best friend, but they're also they're a veteran in this scene. They're the ones who pushed dubstep and tear out into the NA scene. Now, I'm not saying that Deagle and Fantex don't have that sort of same title, but Noir has pushed it from the NA to the JP to the EU, and they bridged that gap. And they sort of I think it was like them, and I can't remember who else. I think it was them, Fantex, and someone else was also pushing it at the time. But they also are just overall really talented. They know how to put together a well constructed set, even off the top of their head. I am honored to be a part of a project with them, just because I feel sometimes left in the dust of how well they could DJ. Because I think I could DJ well, but man, they they know just how to really experiment and push a theme. So I think Noir is definitely a good pick, and my second pick would definitely have to be Silas. Silas is really good. Um, their empty project is super interesting and unique in of itself. So, and I believe they can push it in a very good manner.
And I still remember the Zenith podcast. When are we when are we getting the next episode?
Yep. And that's like on man, my list of things to get done are so long, and due to circumstances, that has moved to the bottom of the list, just because we had plans to include a person running production for us, and they have moved out of their ability to run production for us, so that is kind of moved out of the question for now. And I'm just kind of focused on pursuing music right now. I can't balance running a club, pursuing music, having a life, and running a podcast at the same time. It's I gotta pick my battles, and the podcast is gonna end up as something that may come later. It may come back. Who knows?
Hell yeah.
Not against the idea.
Hell yeah. And that's why we're bringing this in, So like power to you, and like good luck on your projects, cuz like we'll help carry the torch, and we'll keep the light going for each other
Awesome.
and run
Love to
along,
hear it.
Mhm. Future is bright. And I guess for now that's going to be where we end the story of the Black Box episode 1. Thank you, Snacks, for coming on board. Fucking killing it as always on the decks, and
Thank you.
taking the time. Hell yeah. And so with that, that is going to end tonight's session of 4 a.m. Deadline Radio, Black Box Edition. Until next time. Also, huge thank you to Vamp for helping put so much of this together. Fucking hell. It's been so challenging, and a lot of this wouldn't have been possible without you either. So thank you for helping us with this too. Thank you, thank you. And thank you everyone at home for watching. Until next time. Signing out.